Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a review for you guys on the new Kylie Cosmetics Royal Peach palette. So I'm going to be doing a demo of me applying this eyeshadow look, as well as giving you my thoughts, my first opinions really, and my review, as well as swatches on this palette. So if you guys are interested in seeing my thoughts, swatches, and the eyeshadow tutorial on the new Kylie Cosmetics Royal Peach palette, then keep on watching. Alright guys, so before we get into the review, I'm going to really quickly tell you what I'm wearing on my face. So today, to prime my face, I use my Maybelline Baby Skin Instant Pore Eraser. For foundation today, I used my Becca Ultimate Coverage Cream Complexion Foundation and my NARS All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation, and I just mixed these two foundations together. To highlight today, I used my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. To cream contour today, I used my Anastasia Cream Contour Kit in the shade Dark. To set my highlighted areas, I used my Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. To set my contour today, I used my CoverGirl Queen Ebony Bronzer. To set my entire face, I used my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in Dark Deep. For my blush today, I used the Milani Baked Blush in the shade Cornelia. For my highlighter today, I used the MAC x Mariah Carey highlighter in My Mimi. And for my eyeliner, I used my Rimmel London Scandalized Eye Kohl Pencil in the shade Brown. And for my lips today, I just used a brown lip liner, which is my favorite lip liner of all time. It's my Shea Moisture lip liner in the shade Dark, and it's just a dark brown lip liner. And for my lips, I used a gloss today, and I used the NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Peach Crisp. So I showed you what kind of lashes that I was wearing. I was wearing these new mink lashes from Ardell, and they are the number 811. So those are the lashes that I'm wearing. And to set my entire face, I used my Urban Decay All Nighter Makeup Setting Spray. So that is everything that I used on my face. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the description box down below, and I'll be sure to get those answered for you as soon as possible. So let's just get on into the review. Alright guys, so today we're going to be reviewing the new Kylie Cosmetics Royal Peach palette, and this is just how the packaging looks. I think it's really pretty, and on the front of the packaging you just have the Royal Peach palette. On the top of the packaging, you just have the Royal Peach palette here. And on the back, you just have Kylie's name with the name of the shadows as well as some ingredients. So I'm just going to show you how the inside of the packaging looks. And it's like kind of foiled with this rose gold, and the packaging is white. And on the back, it just has a Kylie signature and the same thing that it has on the packaging, which is the name of the shadows as well as the ingredients to the shadows. So it's going to show you how it looks, and this palette does come with a mirror on the inside, and it comes with a nice brush as well, and it's dirty because I used it. So the brush reminds me a lot of a MAC 217 or the Morphe M433, which is like a really nice brush for just like getting in the crease. And I really love this brush. I think that the brush is really nice quality. It's not synthetic hairs, and it's really nice quality. It just has Kylie written on it in rose gold as well. So moving on to the palette, this is just how the palette looks. And I honestly really like the palette. So I bought her other palette. I didn't get the first palette, which was I think like the Rust palette or the, I don't know, something like that. I got the Burgundy palette and I got the Holiday palette. The holiday palette I don't like as much as the burgundy palette, but the holiday palette is okay. But I really do like the burgundy palette. So this is just how the burgundy palette looks, and this palette did not come with a mirror, and you're getting 9 shades, and this palette was $42. Whereas this palette came with a mirror as well as a brush, and you have 12 shades in this palette, and this palette retailed for $45. So I think that the palette is really nice, and you're really getting, you know, a lot for what you're paying for. Now, I've been hearing a lot of people say that the pans move around in the palette, and that's because the palette is magnetic. So the pans can pop out. Let me just try to go ahead and pop one out really quickly. Alright, so as you can see, you don't have any glue right here, and you don't have any glue on the back of the pan. So the pans are magnetic, and they do pop back into place, kind of like a Z palette. So that is why the pans are kind of like maybe moving around in there, because the palette is magnetic. So I did swatches for you guys on this palette, so I'm just going to get into those swatches. But first, I want to show you the palette in comparison to the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. Alright, so here is the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. And in this palette, you are getting 18 shades. And this palette retails for $49. And in the Kylie palette, you are getting 12 shades. And this palette retails for $45. Now, I honestly don't think that the shadows are similar in the palettes. Just going to show them both to you. This is how both palettes look stacked next to each other. I kind of feel like the Kylie palette is a little more springy, you know, gravitate towards this palette in the springtime, whereas the Too Faced palette has a lot more neutral colors. So I feel like this palette would be really nice in the fall time because of this little area right in here. And then all these shades right here are pretty much only good for setting the brow bone or setting your concealer in place. But for the most part, you know, this palette has majority dark shades. And I say that this palette kind of gives me like a tropical vibe because it's really pretty green, the North Star, the purple, and the royal blue, and then all of the peaches. I would say this is more of like a peach palette than the Too Faced palette. Like the Too Faced palette is more of like a natural everyday palette. But you could still maybe create maybe one look with the Too Faced palette, but I kind of feel like that's it. But I don't feel like the palettes look similar in any way. I mean, you may have 1 or 2 shades that maybe look the same, like Crush and Candid Peach may look the same, or yeah, that's really about it to me. Or Cinnamon and Summer Yum may look the same, but that's pretty much it to me. I mean, no, I'm sorry, this is Cinnamon. Cinnamon and Summer Yum look the same, but that's pretty much it to me. The palettes really don't, you know, look like they, you know, they're totally different. They're totally different seasons to me. Like this one is more of a fall/winter palette, and this one to me is more of like a springy/summer palette because there are more brighter shades in this palette. So I do feel like the shimmer shades, I'm not going to say metallic because they are not metallic. I feel like the shimmer shades swatch, some of them swatch like a little dry. Well, the only one that I had a problem out of was Queen Bee, and it feels like really dry when you swatch it. But the mattes in this palette are amazing. They blend amazingly. They're a little chalky, but I mean, so is the Anastasia palette, so are the Lorac palettes, and those have really nice pigmentation, and those are really great quality palettes. So I really don't mind the kick up in the palette. Just have to make sure, like I did, just if you do your base first, just make sure that you put maybe like a setting powder on your eye or something to catch the fallout, or just do your eyes first. So this is how the palette looks. I really love this palette. I really do see myself repurchasing this palette. And I really love how the peaches in this palette show up on deeper skin tones. Like I kind of created like a subtle peach look today. I didn't want to recreate the look that was on the front of the box because like everybody's recreating that look. So I just wanted to create something simple, just like a peachy look since it's a peach palette. So in the future, I will do tutorials with this blue and, you know, the other colors. But I kind of feel like the palette goes really nicely together. And I really love all the peachy shades, how they all complement each other. Like, this is a really nice palette. So this is definitely a palette that I would repurchase. I don't think that this palette is limited edition. It didn't say anything on her site about it being limited edition. I'm hoping not, because this is a really nice palette. So yeah, I know that the palette relaunched yesterday, because I'm going to be releasing this video on the 20th. So I know that the palette relaunched yesterday, but I'm pretty sure it sold right out. So I'm pretty sure that she will be restocking the palette, and when I find out the restock dates, I will put them in the description box down below, as well as the website as to where this palette can be purchased. So yeah, that wraps up my review on the new Kylie Cosmetics Royal Peach palette. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos from me. And don't forget that when my channel reaches 5,000 subscribers, I will be having a giveaway, which includes this Kylie palette. So don't forget to subscribe for your chance to win. So I'm just going to get on to the swatches and then on to the eyeshadow tutorial of this look. Thank you guys so much for watching. Alright guys, so I'm going to start off by showing you the front of the packaging. It's really pretty. It's all white and it just has Kylie written in rose gold. Reminds me a lot of the Rock packaging. It's the exact same color. So now I'm just going to open the palette up, and this is what the palette looks like, and the palette does come with a really nice brush. And there are 12 shades in this palette. So now I'm just going to start off with swatching them, and I'm just going to start off with the first shade, which is Sorbet. The next shade in the palette is Seashells. Alright guys, the next shade is Peachy, which is one of my favorite shades in the palette. And the next shade is Royal, which this shade swatched kind of patchy. Alright, the next shade is Queen Bee, which Queen Bee swatched okay to me, but it seems really dry and is not that pigmented for it to be a shimmer. And so the next shade is Duke, and that is the first row of the palette. Gorgeous colors. Alright, now I'm going to start swatching the second row, and the first shade is Duchess. The next shade is Sandy. Alright, next up we have Mojito, and I really love this green. The next shade is North Star, and it's a gorgeous purple. Like I said, these last two shades, they're gorgeous colors. This palette would be perfect for the springtime. The next shade is Crush, which is another one of my favorites from the palette. And then the last shade in the palette is Cinnamon. And that is the second row of the palette. As you can see, they swatched really nicely, and I really didn't have to dig in. Alright guys, so I'm starting out with my base already done and my brows already done. So since I started out with my base already, I'm just going to use my Sacha Buttercup setting powder, and I'm just going to place this underneath my eyes to catch any fallout. Alright guys, next up for my transition color, I'm going to be using Peachy out of the palette. And the pigmentation is really nice on this palette, and I didn't have any problems with blending out any of the shadows. Alright, next up, taking the brush from the palette, I'm going to go into the shade Crush, and I'm going to place this directly under my transition color. And this is a really nice brush. Alright guys, next up, to give my crease a little bit of definition, I'm going to be taking the shade Cinnamon from the palette. I'm just going to pop this directly in the crease. Alright, and because this palette did not have like a dark brown or a darker shade to smoke out the outer V, I'm going into the Burgundy palette. I'm going to take the shade Almond, and I'm just going to smoke the outer V out just a little. That's the only con I have about this palette. I wish that it had at least one dark shade that you could, you know, kind of smoke out the outer V with, but I don't mind jumping into another palette. Alright, next I'm going to be going back into the shade Crush, and I'm going to place this all over the lid. And then I'm going to go right on top of that with the shade Duchess. And I'm just going to use my finger to apply that. Alright, next I'm just going in with a blending brush with no extra product on it, and I'm just using it to blend out any harsh edges. Alright, and now taking the shade Sorbet, I'm going to use this as my brow bone highlight. And next up, I'm just going to repeat the same steps on the bottom that I did in the crease, using the exact same color. Alright, next up, taking the shade Mojito, which is that really pretty green, I'm just going to use this as my inner tear duct highlight. Alright, and for my lashes today, I'm going to be taking these new mink lashes from Ardell in the shade number 811. Sorry, the style. And that completes the look. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos from me. Until the next video.